What's up, guys? It's Dopio. I hope you're having a great day. I just wanted to go through some CSGO terminology for those new players that have never played CSGO, and they often find those terms being used within Valorant matches, and especially with the release of the new game. This is going to be especially crucial as a lot of CSGO players, including myself, just use those terms interchangeably within the Valorant game because they are very applicable to the game. So one of the most common terms is CT, or counter terrorist for CS:GO, which is also known as the defender in Valorant, and the same thing applies to T, also known as terrorist, which is the attackers for Valorant. For example, you can see in the clip that I am looking at CT spawn, or the defender spawn, the spawn where defenders spawn in the game or start the game, and that is where I would call this, they're coming from CT entrance or CT spawn, and that is just where the enemy is coming from. Another common term you hear is bomb, also known as the spike, and another term to go with that is to play for the bomb or play for the spike, which means to simply play the time that the bomb has left to detonate. So if you plant the bomb and there's 10-20 seconds left before it explodes, just don't engage with the enemy, just keep playing the time so that the enemy doesn't have time to defuse it, so that they win the round, which is also a pretty common term. And this is also used with playing time, which is also means just to run down the clock. So if you're the defenders, you may play the time so that the attackers don't have time to plant the bomb. All right, some common terminology that regards to engaging with the enemy, like jiggle peeking, peeking in general, and shoulder peeking, swinging, stuff like that. So to peek means to engage the enemy, to get in view of the enemy, to just kind of fight the enemy. And then jiggle peeking is when you are going back and forth over a corner or an edge where only a slim part of you is visible, but you can still get view of what is on the other side and still be able to make callouts. It's also interchangeably used with shoulder peeking, and in CSGO, where there's not a lot of clothing or character models that take up, it was very obvious to see the shoulder. So when someone tells you to shoulder peek it just means to swing out just enough so that you can see the enemy, but it's very hard for them to hit you. Another term that's used is dinking / gushing, which is when you hit an enemy in the head, for example with a phantom. It doesn't kill them at long range, but it's obvious that they have very low health, so you dink them with the gun or gush them, and gushing is just a very old term, but dinking is more appropriate. And then swinging, it means to like swing out on the enemy, which means take a like wide step out onto the enemy and go far past the corner. So if you're holding a tight angle, you might swing wide to catch the enemy off guard and force them to have to flick harder than they would normally have to just holding the corner. And to describe some of the economy terms like eco round, that just means to save around $1,500, especially in Valorant, which means you would be able to have enough money the next round to have a full buy. And a full buy is to be able to buy armor, rifle, and all your abilities. An eco round's purpose is to save for the next round for your full buy. And then a force buy is to force the situation, buying whatever you can with the money you have. So if you have $2,000, you would just buy a pistol and armor maybe and some abilities, or a scout, also known as the marshal in Valorant, to buy whatever you can to try to win the round. All right, and another two very important terms are baiting and trading. Baiting is known as letting your team enter or peek an enemy by themselves and have that engagement on their own while you sit behind cover and not really engage with them. However, baiting can be very effective when you're trying to make effective trades within a round or just trying to trade out the enemy team. And trading is when you trade 1-for-1 kills with the enemy team, and this is to keep numbers equal. So if your enemy team attacks and kills one of your teammates, then it's important for you to make that trade so that the round stays between 4v4 or 3v3 or whatever the numbers are. So baiting at certain situations is effective, and an example of this is if you call out because you have 3 HP to run into a site by yourself and say bait me, so that you can get information for your team as you enter that site, because you will most likely die before them because of your low HP. Your teammates will effectively be able to trade the kill and get control of the bomb site when entering. All right, a couple more terms before I talk about map rotations, map control, and lurking. Is counter strafing and being lit. So counter strafing is when you tap the opposite key of which you are moving. So if you were going to the left and pressing your A key, you would tap your right key to immediately stop your movement so that you can shoot your gun at 100% accuracy compared to having to stop all the way. It's a quick way to stop your movement in game so that you can shoot accurately, and really good players are very aware of their movement and tapping the opposite key quickly and making small bursts with their gun. And then being lit is being damaged or hitting someone for damage. So for example, if you call out that person is lit or the omen is lit 50, that means you had done 50 damage to them. All right, guys, so I just wanted to sum up kind of rotating, over rotating, map control, a lot of terms that are used in terms of maps and how the map is played. This is from Blitz. It's a great website I found, which I'll link in the description. It has all the maps, it has tutorials on each of the characters and where flashes should be used, things like that. I'm not sponsored or anything by this company. I just thought it'd be very useful for new players, especially since it gives a layout of each map and how useful it is. So I got this screenshot of Haven from their website, and I'm just going to walk you guys through some of rotating and over rotating. It's very simplified, and a lot of these things can get much deeper in terms of taking map control and at a higher level of play and things like that. So for example, let's just go into this. You have a bomb site on the right side and we are on the attacker side, and you decide as a team to have 2 come up short and 2 come up long to take the site, and then you know there is 2 enemies on the site, but then there you have 1 player lurking, as you would call it, outside of B, and they are listening to whether and when these teammates of the enemy team start to rotate to help defend. So let's say you start pushing up long with your teammates, right? Then you would have this guy most likely start to rotate over, as well as this one maybe comes around here, and the C person either stays or not, depending on whether they want to contain their map control or however they want to have it. However, this person in mid, your lurk, is going to hear all these rotates, and it's more likely that this person would rotate through this way with the B person. However, if they're walled or whatever, but the B door person is going to hear all of these rotates, and then they can call out that they are rotating through B and that B is open, and they may even hear C rotate as well. And if this C person rotates, then that site is open completely, and so is B. If they all rotate over to A, they have over rotated in so that your team can now enter any other site. And if your team chooses to go back and start taking B and they go all the way to C or B or whatever, and then this person can enter B or can come around garage to help take C and cut off the rotates because that person held map control. It's very important within Valorant to have map control, and there's many different scenarios how this can play out, and it can get very complicated because the C player, if there was nobody holding, hopefully you have a cipher that had put traps outside of C or garage and A so that you couldn't have this person flank all the way around behind. But that's just a simple explanation where you have your teammates pushing A, and then you have one lurking outside B that hears all the movement from the enemy team and can call it out. See, and if the defenders had played this smartly and that were aware, if they didn't see bomb, if you guys didn't drop the bomb from a death, then they wouldn't move many of their players. If anything, they might just move the B player over and have the garage player come play B and in between garage and B, just so that they have an extra person. However, that then leaves garage open. It's all about moving people and moving players around so that you can get the most advantage for your team. But it's just a short example of rotating and flanking, and it's just very helpful throughout the game. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed and learned something from all the terminology. This by far does not cover all the CSGO terminology that's relevant to Valorant. I just think these are the main ones that are often used and ones I use within my games. I got a lot of the terms from Stinky FPS. If you want to check out the Reddit post with all full length descriptions and definitions to each post, I'll link that in the description below so you guys can check that out and read as much as you'd like. There are so many more terms, and I just think these will be more helpful to you, and I hope you guys learn something. Thank you.